Welcome, everybody, to episode 20 of the You Can't Comp This NBA podcast. We have a special guest this week. It's Kahlil from Slabd Cards. Kahlil, how are you tonight?
I'm good, thanks. How you going?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm glad that the weekend was just spectacular and the weather was beautiful and I was out of the house. So I was very happy.
Oh, that's right, you're in ISO.
Yeah.
We had a similar weekend in Adelaide. It was a beautiful weekend.
Yeah,
Mm.
good. Why don't we just sort of do a bit of sort of Q&A and tell me about your first cardboard memory. When you look back, in time to a kid, what was that sort of like moment for you in card collecting?
So I remember being in primary school and we had a deli across the road.
Yeah,
And that deli had Ninja Turtles arcade machine in it.
cool.
And
Is that the one that had the 4 sticks on it?
4 sticks, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah,
And they also sold Ninja Turtle cards.
cool.
And I reckon they were probably the first cards that we were buying in school. So this would be,
Were they the
I wanna
animated ones? They were kind of like
yeah,
Yeah.
they weren't the movie cards, they were the
Yeah.
animated ones. And we
Yeah.
used to buy all those. Later on, it's kind of funny, like we got a bit older, my brother and I and my cousin, we'd all hang out in a card shop in one of the shopping centres
Yeah.
in Adelaide, Tea Tree Plaza. Card shop was Cartoon Connection. Our parents had, well, my uncle had, and my parents, they had a shop. They both had shops in the shopping centre.
Yeah.
My uncle had a snack bar,
Okay.
and we became friends with the guy that worked in Cartoon Connection. And
Yeah.
I think it was in the mid-90s when interest rates were through the roof. So
Yeah, sure.
everyone was struggling at that time, but
Yeah.
we, asking, for $5 to go buy cards, it was like, no, can't spend
Yeah.
money on cards.
Yeah.
My uncle had the snack bar, and the guy that worked in the shop, he would get hungry, and we would go get him a hot dog from my uncle's shop, and we'll give him the hot dog, and he'd give us cards. That's how we would buy them.
That's a great trade.
We'd trade food for cards. I don't know that the owners, like we were kids, I don't know that the owners would have approved of that.
Yeah.
And my brother and my cousin were heavily into basketball cards.
Okay.
And I was hanging out with them. I didn't really collect basketball cards.
Yeah. What did you collect?
I was a music guy.
Yeah.
So I collected vinyl.
Okay.
I do have cards.
Yeah.
I never really got into many sports cards. I collect Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
Some NFL stuff, but I've kind of gone off of that a little bit, and I do other kinds of cards.
Yeah.
I got into Pokemon actually,
Yeah.
which is odd, but I do have a child, so that makes it okay, I think, for
100%. Yeah.
40-year-old man.
Pokemon is very kid friendly for kids. Honestly, like I think that's where it's at. Yeah. Yeah. You can get your hands on it at any time. You can rip packs, for days. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What other cards do I have? I've been collecting. I've been collecting the Michael Jackson. I've been collecting the Michael Jackson cards from 2011 that Panini released.
Okay.
And they have patch cards, like in basketball, or some of his shirts and stuff that he wore.
Yeah.
So I've got some of those.
And what do they go for like these days? Like
I don't know.
ballpark.
I see them listed on eBay, and they're upwards. I mean, it's not extravagant like, Jordan rookies and F1 cards. They're about $1,000.
Okay.
But I reckon you could get them down a bit.
Yeah.
But there's a few floating around. They're just really hard to get. I've got one of 5. I'm trying to get the others, but it's a bit hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my brother does a lot of basketball, and I do other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've transitioned into Slabd. So tell us about Slabd and.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Slabd has been running for 2 years, and prior to that, it took about a year to set up before we could actually open up the shop.
Yeah.
And get it running. What actually happened was my brother wanted to get his cards graded.
Yeah.
And he wanted to send them to PSA or Beckett. He just wanted to get them graded.
Yeah.
And the problem was that he was reluctant to send his cards because no one offered insurance, and he was just worried about his cards. It's like, no one does insurance. Like, we've got to do something. Like, we've got to sort this out. I'm like, all right. So we just started basically from there, and that's how we ended up having a shop in the city, is because we wanted insurance pretty much for the entire, well, not pretty much, it is pretty much the entire journey of while the card is not with you, it's insured. The only part of the process where it's not insured is when you're getting the card to us, and that's up to you to do. We can't cover that for you.
Yeah.
But that's how it started. He wanted to send his cards. He wanted...
And is that his personality type? Like, does he sort of manage risk like that in other parts of his life too?
Yeah. No, he's a pretty risky guy, but he will take risks on things.
Yeah.
But I don't know. With his cards, he's different.
He's very particular about it.
He's very different with his cards.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how it started.
So you offer sub services for PSA and BGS?
BGS, we've been trying to get BGS as a service. So we do SGC and PSA.
Yeah.
But BGS, we've been talking to BGS since probably mid to late last year. And I've been talking with them every single month this year.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to have them as a service in May.
Interesting.
The reason that we haven't added them is just they're not in a position to be able to get cards back. We've already have clients that have been waiting 12 plus months for cards. And
from BGS or a different sub?
PSA.
PSA, yeah, sure.
Yeah, from PSA. And BGS, they have got really long turnarounds, and they've been saying to us, they've said to us, we can look at this in May of this year.
Yeah.
And they should have better turnarounds by then, and then they can look at adding a dealer.
Yeah, sure.
We can actually sub with them.
Yeah.
But we just want to do it properly. We'll get a dealership with them.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll have that service this year.
Great.
For people to use.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that will come with all the other stuff that we have with our other services. Like, you'll have tracking, you'll have insurance, the exact same process that you go through to submit a card with us. The exact same process that you go through to submit a card. It won't matter if you're going to BGS, PSA, or SGC. It's just the same process for you. So if you do it independently yourself, each company has a different process to submit a card. Yeah. But when you submit it through us, it's the same thing no matter what company that you do, and we take care of the rest.
Yeah, you take care of the back end. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually from a consumer point of view.
Yeah.
So the boys on Cardboard Nonsense are all about SGC. They have a paid sponsorship with them.
Yeah.
And essentially they believe at the moment the best card company to sub with is SGC. So what's your thoughts about SGC, and tell me about the pros and cons in your opinion?
Yeah, okay. I was very surprised. We waited a long time to add SGC. Yeah. And then when PSA had to, put their prices up and stopped some of their lower services, like the cheaper services, they pretty much cancelled all that. So we only had one service to use, and at one point in time it was $500 to submit one card, Aussie.
It really eliminates a lot of base cards being sent off, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So yeah, we were sending like, I don't know, 35, 40 kilos of cards a month to PSA at one point.
Kilos, not cards, kilos.
Kilos, yeah. And that changed overnight.
Yeah, I bet you it did.
To 100 grams, 4 cards.
Yeah,
that was it. And we had to ride that out, and we were like, what are we going to do? And then we were looking at SGC, and eventually we bit the bullet and added them. Their service really surprised me. The turnaround times are incredible.
Yep.
The consistency is really good.
Yeah.
Their service is really good. Every time, if I need to talk to someone, I usually get a response within 24 hours or less.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So I haven't really had, the only issues that I've had with them, not with them, is we're so used to PSA's process, the SGC's process is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I've been suggesting to them is just their labels. With PSA, we get access to the labels before they print them. And with SGC, we don't see the labels until the very end. And they've usually already shipped the card by the time you see what they've printed on the label.
Okay.
And we've now had 4 incorrect labels in the space of 6 months. So that's almost 1 a month.
Yeah.
Which is not too bad.
Yeah.
But it's very annoying because
look, to be transparent here, BGS, it happens to BGS, it happens to PSA, right? Like it's not just
it does. It's not just an SGC thing.
Yeah.
It happens to all of them.
Yeah.
The only difference is with PSA, we actually release all the labels to everybody that submits to PSA. We send them their labels well before that well before it gets printed. If you send a card to us, I'd send you the PSA label and you could read it and make sure that it's right. And if it's not, you can actually get it fixed while it's over there.
Yeah, so now we talked about SGC and their like incorrect rates. What would you estimate PSA would be sending out the labels and they need to edit them before they're printed?
It happens, and it's probably around at the same.
Yeah.
Well, for instance, I just got this package back. The labels were correct, but they've actually put the labels, like there was 2 Pokemon cards. One was Pikachu and one was a gold medal card. And when they sealed the card, they've just put the wrong label in the wrong holder. They were swapped. So that's something that happens, but you can't pick that up.
Yeah,
that's something you're not going to see.
That's a human error thing. The dude's just sat there and slipped it into the wrong case.
Said the wrong one. Yeah, that's it. So that's happened to us twice in 2 years.
Okay.
That particular issue.
Yeah.
So these things do come up, and when you're submitting a lot of cards, there's bound to be an error rate.
A percentage rate. Yeah.
Yeah. It's most of the time it's very low.
Yeah.
So I think they're about on par. It's just that with PSA, there's a couple more checks that you can do.
A bit more transparent.
Yeah. So we try to one of the things that we do with this is be completely transparent with it so that you can see everything all the time.
Yeah.
It just it keeps us on our toes. Like we even send the tracking numbers. Like when your card is going to the US, we send you the FedEx tracking number so that you can actually see what the hell's going on with your card when it's traveling as well. Well, we don't actually keep anything from you. If it gets held in customs, then you'll see that, and then I've got to make sure it gets through. Otherwise, I end up with 50 people contacting me and saying, "Oh, my card's stuck in customs."
Yeah.
We provide a lot of transparency.
Yeah. I'm sure that really helps a lot because particularly of those long periods of time, it's just nice to know, where you're all at. So that sounds to me quite similar to what the boys are saying on the other pod, and they talk about turnaround times and they talk about like return on investment for, the price that you pay and then what you're getting back. So what's your thoughts about resale of SGC in the current market?
Yeah, a lot of people ask us that question, like, should I put it in PSA or should I submit it to SGC?
Yeah.
I think, PSA, if you have 2 cards that are exactly the same, they're both 10s, one's PSA, one's SGC, for some reason the PSA one will sell for a bit more.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, maybe 20-25% more for a PSA holder than an SGC holder. But you're also paying like an extra $100 to get it graded with PSA. So I don't know. It's completely up to the person and what they want to do. Like, are you grading this to flip it?
Yeah.
Are you grading it to hold and keep in your collection?
Yeah.
And often, if you're holding it and you're not really it's just one of the cards that you love, the PSA label doesn't matter to you that much. I don't know why you wouldn't use SGC.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But that might change when
PSA reopens again.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is SGC do have a really good price point.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be cheaper a few years ago, but it's still, like, for the current market, it's a good price point.
Yeah.
But slowly, PSA's price point is coming down, and they have said that their aim is to get back
$15 subs again.
to get their bulk services going again, or the value services, what they renamed it to.
Yeah.
And when that happens, that might force the other companies to bring their prices back down.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing with SGC, they're putting on like the turnaround time pressure on PSA, because we're getting cards back in, I don't know, 20 days. Like, it's quick.
That's really quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Particularly when you factor in, transport and handling and all that type of stuff.
Oh, sorry. I should specify that that's their grading time. So
plus transit each way.
Plus transit each way.
Okay, rightio.
Yeah. So just from when they get the card and they check it in and they start their process.
Yeah, still.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And it's been getting better and better. So as SGC put on this pressure for getting the cards out accurately and consistently and in a timely manner.
Yeah.
So you'll start to see price and time get really competitive between the two companies, I think.
Yeah.
And the love for SGC just keeps growing and growing.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning it was like, oh, I don't know about these slabs, I don't know about these labels. And
they're very bland, aren't they? Like, to be, yeah.
I thought that, but when I actually had it in my hand, I'd grown to like them. And I think that happens with people.
Yeah.
And we get people coming in and, they'll give it a go. And if the experience is really good and they get a good grade, especially if they get a good grade,
they're
then
stoked.
Yeah. And then they start to fall in love with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get a low grade, it's upsetting. It's upsetting for some people. Like,
I should have went with PSA.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to explain to people that not all cards are 10s. There might be 10 in your eyes.
Particularly if you rip it yourself, because I think there's that emotional attachment to the card. Like, it doesn't matter what someone says to you, you're almost like it's falling on deaf ears, like.
Yeah. I ripped it myself and I sleeved it and
I went
straight into the thing.
It must be a 10. Yeah.
It must be. But it goes through, the card goes through so many things before it gets to the packet and you open it. So anything could have happened to it in that time. And then
there's centering, right? If it's cut bad, it's cut bad. Like, there's nothing.
Cut bad. Yeah. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do to fix that.
Yeah. Look, I personally think that when PSA opens up again, it's game over. I think PSA, is going to win that space. Yeah, I think so, because I'm personally waiting for PSA to reopen again to like send stuff off. That's how I personally feel. And I think in terms of return on investment, when that sub service comes back, like, there's just no competition there. I think, PSA yields the higher rate. But in terms of a quality of service, like, I have SGC cards in my PC, and I never lie in bed at night thinking, oh, is it really an 8 or is it really a 10? Like, I'm very confident in the service they provide. I've got no issues buying them, but I just probably wouldn't, sub through them personally. But,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, and then the only other caveat I'd probably like to add to that point too is one of my highest value cards is actually SGC graded. So please don't think that, I have anything against SCG, because actually I'm very happy to have SGC in my collection. There's no, two ways about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be super interesting when they reopen the doors again, like, what's going to happen in this space, because, and I
think that, sorry.
No, I was going to say, I also wondered too, if like we're always going to go to back where we were 2 years ago when people were sending in like Ty Jerome base cards and stuff like that. It's like, do we really need that? So I wonder how they're going to manage that space, I suppose, because I just wonder, moving forward, if, and this, I'm just using, different companies for different examples. They use PSA for high end, BGS for middle, and say SGC for, for lower end stuff. And they sort of tier the price point so that it almost sort of forces people to sub cards in that way. Like, I wonder if how the market almost sort of plays itself out.
Yeah.
Because I think actually SGC's got a really important like place to play in the markets. To be honest, I didn't know you subbed SGC, so this is for me like,
oh right,
this has been a really good part.
Yeah, we've been doing SGC for, I think this will be our 7th one coming out. This will be our 7th submission to them, so 7 months.
Yeah,
we've been 6 or 7 months. We've been doing them.
Yeah,
I think they'll survive. when
Oh,
PSA reopened, and
but
I
they were
think
there before PSA was there, and they'll be there after.
yeah,
Like they were a player in the marketplace. Yeah, there's
I
no.
think the
Yeah,
ones that won't survive are like, because a lot of people or a lot of smaller companies have popped up,
yeah,
like doing providing a grading service.
yeah,
I think they might find it hard.
yeah, definitely.
They might find it hard unless you
Like
can.
Forensic is like one of the ones that I think.
Oh yeah, FCG.
Where will they be in 5 years? They're the type of company that I think, similar to SGC, they provide a really good service, and actually, I'm quite confident in the service they provide. I sub 2 cards through them.
Oh, you did. I
Just
watched them.
to be
But
honest, just to like support a mate, and I wanted to, give it a go. And the amount that it cost, it was like $50 return.
isn't
You know,
Forensic in the US?
yeah.
Oh, okay. So
And
you know him.
so Luke
He,
Hoyle, who used to do the previous pod we were on, he was a subber for them.
right.
Yeah. So that was essentially how I fell into that.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I quite like the labels. I think the transparency of, the way they sort of opened up their doors. I think that was a very interesting sort of like, marketing ploy.
Hmm.
How do I feel about them in 5 years? Well, I would probably say their best case scenario would be they get bought out by PSA.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I
Okay.
wonder if
Yeah.
that's like, because I just can't imagine them taking down like a giant like PSA or BGS. Like, it just seems so.
No, I was thinking.
What's your thoughts in that space? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they will struggle. Maybe not for. I don't know much about Forensic other than I follow them on Instagram and Facebook,
Yeah.
and
So
I
did they
read.
buy your like, or you electively like joined up?
I elect. I look out. I look. I just keep an eye on all the
they
grading stuff, all the
they
grading
copped a fair
companies.
bit of heat for like buying
They did.
likes on Insta. Yeah, yeah. So
The buying the likes. Sorry.
sorry,
Yes, I
man.
did.
That
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
very badly delivered joke. Then.
That's all right. I
Yeah.
did. I did see that, and I don't know if they did it or not. I can't remember, but I think
Of
they
course
went
they did
from.
it. I mean,
Oh,
like, it's why is that a controversy? I mean, who cares? Like, they get
I think they said they did
more
maybe, or
people.
they.
They got called out by card porn. Like,
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's
Like,
right.
everyone does it these days. Jeez, why is that controversial?
Buy likes, or I think they bought followers, didn't
Yeah,
they? They
yeah,
went from like
yeah.
1,000 or 5,000
To
to
10 and
50,000
like,
and
yeah,
10.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
I don't know why you would do that. It doesn't make any sense.
I think just to get my eyeballs on their stuff, man, and make
Oh,
themselves look
okay.
like they're, more bigger boy in the market. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work out in the end, though. Yeah, it has to be organic. There's
Interesting.
no, there's no ifs and or buts about it. Like
Yeah.
if you're trying to grow your page, the only way to do it is organically.
Yeah.
Buying stuff, buying followers, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
You want people to follow your page and kind of get stuck on there and want to come back to it. Whereas if you're just, buying them, they don't care.
Yeah.
You can post, and it's just a number. Like I'd rather have 1,000 followers that actually liked what we did,
Yeah.
rather than 10,000 followers that don't give two damns.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Mm.
What's your socials? Should we be following you on any platform?
We're mostly active on Instagram.
Sure.
Instagram is linked to Facebook.
Yeah.
But mostly those two. And it's just Slabd cards. And we'll post pretty regularly. I do the.
You spell Slabd differently though, don't you? Can you spell it if anyone wants to check you out? Yeah.
Yeah, SLABD. That's it. Cards, Slabd cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
I when we were trying to work out a name for this, I only came into grading when my brother was into it, and I was just researching it and just saw that it was a slang term for grading cards.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that's the name.
That's
Slabd.
easy, yeah. And how has no one else taken this name too, by the way? Like
I don't know.
That's perfect.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well
I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
We're using that.
Yeah. And do you offer any other services at your shop?
Yeah. So we do. We've had to pivot a little bit because grading has slowed down, and that was obviously because of Corona and the prices, and it's starting to come back a bit.
Yeah.
So we started doing consignment. So people will give us their cards and we'll facilitate the sale of their
Sure.
cards. And we've sold some pretty big cards. So we do that. The other thing that we do is for a few people, and I'm looking at opening this up, is a shipping service, like getting people's cards to PWCC insured or golden, which we've done for clients as well.
Yeah.
It's the whole process.
Is this an exclusive to You Can't Comp This podcast?
What do you mean?
Are you making an announcement of a new service?
This service is it's like not really advertised, and we have people. I know this is what I'm thinking of doing. Is providing that to more people that want to do that. It's because we have insurance. We've paid for it all. And we can utilize it, and our insurance does not cover us sending to PSA or SGC.
Can I be honest with you? I think there will be a market there for this, because let me say the scenario that comes to my head immediately. So a guy jumps into a break and hits a $10,000, $20,000 card. He literally has no idea what to do with it.
I am talking, just before I started talking to you, I was talking to another fellow who has a Lewis Hamilton rookie card.
And you send the card off to Goldens for them, you take care of all the paperwork, yada, yada, yada. That would remove the anxiety level of this person by 100 times. And whatever you charge them, to be honest, they'll be quite happy to pay it.
Yeah. This is not the first person to have done this. He's actually worried about getting the card to us, and he wants to get on a plane and come over. And we've had a couple people from Melbourne that have come on a plane to hand the card over because they don't want to use Australia Post. But we can actually arrange a pickup of the card. We can use a secure hand-to-hand service where the card will be picked up and it will get to us within. Sometimes it can come in the same day, but 24 hours it'll be in our possession.
Interesting.
Yeah, so for high-end stuff we can, and that's like, $120, $150, depending on where the card is, to get it from one place to another within 24 hours, not using Australia Post securely. It's the same service that banks, jewelers, the government uses to transport documents. And jewelry and
you're doing this every day. You understand the processes, how it gets played out, and people have never done this before. I think it is very, very stressful for them. So I think as simple as this sounds, it's actually ingenious in some ways, because I could really see that filling a void in the marketplace. So we've been doing this on pretty much case-by-case basis. Interesting.
Someone will contact us and they've got a particular card, or someone will come in. It's like, I want to get my my Giannis to PWCC. So we'll do that. I want to kind of open that up and make that an easy process for pretty much anyone in Australia that wants to do it. So I'm working on it.
No, good one. No, I definitely think that there's a huge marketplace for that for sure.
The other thing that we've been looking at doing as well is actually slabbing cards. We are called Slabd, and we don't do that, but more on a just sealing them for people that we do have parents and kids coming in, and kids love having a card in the slab. But when you tell them it's $155 to sub with PSA or SGC, it's a bit of a downer for them. Or 55 for SGC. But if you could slab a card for someone for like $8, which is what we're looking at doing as well. That's another thing.
Interesting.
But it doesn't really mean anything. It's other than it's sealed.
So it's basically like a better encased one touch?
A better encased one touch with an amazing label.
Okay. So it's you're gonna dress it all up and make it look, really nice.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So we've got an artist, and he does all the art on our page. So all the cards that we've got are all drawn by Owen, our artist.
Great. You guys got
he's working on the labels.
Yeah, you got a lot going on at the moment then.
Yeah, well, that's my day-to-day job. is Slabd.
So
I don't do anything
you
else.
gave up your previous whatever you used to do, and you and your brother do this full time now. Is that what's happening?
My brother doesn't do it full time. My brother's got his own businesses as well.
Yeah.
We're partners in this one. But I was analyst programmer for Telstra, and I worked for them for close to 17 years.
Oh wow.
And then I stopped. I stopped working for them, and I was doing Slabd and Telstra at the same time.
Yeah.
And then I decided to leave Telstra and do Slabd.
Yeah.
And the day that I did that was the day that Corona decided to kick in and shut everything down. And I was like, what the hell have I done?
Yeah. That would have been very stressful.
It was pretty stressful,
Yeah.
but yeah, just writing it out, and it's coming back up again, so that's good.
Great.
Yeah.
So how we found out about you is Adam and I were having a private conversation about future careers and different things that we can be doing, and Adam was discussing card valuation. So the scenario would be, I have a $2,000 card and I'd like to get $2,000 worth of insurance for this. How do I'm someone who's just gone into a break. How do I know how much to insure this card for? I know it's worth something, pretty nice. So,
yeah. So are you saying that you would have your card insured like in your home as an item or property? Is that what you mean?
This was one of the things I want to talk to you about, because when we were Google searching it, there must have been some keywords that we were searching it and your website came up. Because I think you have valuation or evaluation or something like that on your website, and that's how we pulled you guys up. So I wanted to ask, and we talked privately off air about this, and you said that this is not something you professionally do. So I suppose I'm just making a disclaimer now, but
yes,
I want to discuss this as a topic, and the reason I want to discuss this as a topic, because I don't think the information in this space is A, easily accessible, and B, I don't think the process is that clear, because if you do speak to your insurance company about this, there's only so many cards that they will insure, and also there's only so much, X value that they'll, insure up to too. So I suppose I'm keen to hear your thoughts about this, but I'm also keen to, learn more about this, topic, for my own personal.
For your personal collection?
Yeah, for my own space. Because I think also too, time to time, people ask me about this. So it'd be good to sort of say, well, go and talk from the boys from Slabd, or go and talk to the guys from Cherry, or, whatever, yeah.
I reckon we came up in the search when you were searching for cards and insurance is because, there were keywords. And it's good to know that it works. and it came up.
Yeah.
Because we talk about insurance, and we provide insurance while your card is with us.
Yeah, I think that's how it did come up, actually, which is a different type of insurance, isn't it?
But it's a different type of insurance. And then when you're talking about valuation, recently I've put up some keywords around valuation and appraisal. So those two things would have
brought you into Google, your sticky web.
Yeah. And now we've got you. So like insuring your card, like you've pulled a card for $2,000.
Yeah.
I've got a record collection.
Yeah.
I've insured my record collection with my insurance company.
Yeah.
I haven't insured specific records.
Yeah.
But my record collection is big enough for me to say I have $75,000 worth of records, and I want them insured to that value.
Yep. Yep.
And that's done for me in my house.
Yep.
I don't see why or how it would be different for cards.
Okay.
Because you can insure specific items on your insurance. Like if you have a Rolex, you can say, I've got a Rolex and it's I paid $25,000 for it. I want to insure my Rolex for $25,000.
Yeah.
I don't see why you can't do that with cards. I can actually find out from our broker and let you know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that'll be awesome, because I definitely want to find out more of this. So I suppose, how do you know the card is worth $2,000? How do you know it's worth $5,000? How do you know that it's not a $10 card, but you're telling your insurance company it's $2,000?
Yeah, so the insurance company will try and purchase the card. They'll come to someone like us and say, because it actually happens. We get contacted by insurance companies, and they will say, how much is this card worth? And I would tell them how much it's worth. I would look up sales and what's on sale now.
Do you use 130 point?
Yeah, use 130 point. I can use eBay. You can use PWCC.
Yeah.
Like a whole raft of tools at your fingertips to
Yeah.
find out, what a card is selling for.
Yeah.
If it's common enough to be sold, like if it's a 101 or
Yeah.
that's a bit harder.
Yeah. But again,
But so
I'm saying this in a complimentary way. I think if you do this every day, it's easy for you. And this is kind of what I was saying to you about like sending stuff off to Goldens and stuff like that. If you've never done this before, I think it's very worrisome. And, there's a lot that goes into it. And, probably you guys make it look easy,
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I guess we do it every day.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can tell the insurance company it's worth that, but they will check. And we have had insurance companies come and check with us, and they want to know, they want someone like us who's in it, or someone like Cherry or Sports Card World in Adelaide.
Yeah.
They might ask them. I don't know if they have or not, but I know that we've been asked.
Yeah.
And I was providing that service for free, and now I don't do that anymore. I got an insurance company that had contacted us and sent me 37 cards that they want valued. I'm like, I think you're taking the piss now.
Can you send them an invoice back, or it doesn't work like that?
Yeah, I did. I told them. Yeah.
And then they just
and
never
didn't
return your calls.
No. So they didn't want to pay, but then, well, I'm not going to give you the valuation because that's a lot of cards. It's so
I
basic,
can't believe an insurance company doesn't want to pay. I don't believe what you're telling me, man. I can't believe this.
I'm lying through my teeth. But yeah, okay. So, I mean, you can't, like, if you need help, I can help you, but I would use the exact same tools. And then maybe it's because I know where to go and I know the tools to use and what to look out for. And, you can go on eBay and look for your card, but sometimes you see your card and someone's put it up there for 10 grand. You're like, I've got 10, and it's just a base upper deck Jordan card.
You're talking about asking price, though, right?
Yeah, asking price. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that will confuse someone.
Yeah.
Like, oh, is my card actually worth that? And then you look at it and go, actually, it's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see how it's confusing and conflicting, but because I do it all the time, I see it all the time. I know. I don't know how to make it easier for an everyday, person who wants to insure their card and make sure they get the value right.
Yeah. Because like the thing that, really comes into my mind with my collection. So we had a guest on our show, Geordie, and I'm not too sure if you heard that episode, but he somehow wrote this spreadsheet where he would put in the cards that he had and he would put in a value, and every day, or I think he said week, it would print him a report of like how much his cards have gone up and down. So he's made 3% this week, or he's lost 6% this week. And, in some ways, really that's what you need for your cards if you're going to insure them too, because like a card could spike 50% overnight and then, you're underinsured. And
I wonder how he gets that data in.
Yeah, I asked him about that, and he was kind of like very like, "Oh, a friend did it for me." Yeah, I don't think he wanted to give away his secrets, Like
it sounds a bit like Card Ladder, which I use, which I really like.
Yeah, but he's somehow pulling that data into a spreadsheet that, like, live updates. Like, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
He should sell this, honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it.
Yeah.
Being I'm a record collector, and I'm going back to this.
Use that as an example because it's the same, right?
Yeah. So I use the website Discogs.
Yeah.
And you probably
Discogs is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the great things about that is every time you get a record, you can add it to your discography.
Yeah.
And
or if you buy it, it automatically chucks it in there too.
If you buy it off of there, it'll go straight into your collection. But the thing that Discogs does is it tallies up the value of your collection because it also has a marketplace on there.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much what's needed for cards. I don't know if there's anything that does that where there's the set registry on PSA, but that's for PSA cards.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you know of anything like that? I don't know that there is anything for cards that's so clean and simple and easy.
I think the answer is no, but at the card show in Melbourne, there was a guy, I'm pretty sure that's what he was trying to, essentially it was like a pilot that he had and he was trying to get people to sign up for it.
Oh, right.
And I think also too, eBay now has a service where it's pretty much the same thing as Discogs, except you can't add cards to it. It's cards you've purchased off there. And then as they sort of, get buy and sold, your account goes up and down. But I think, some of the criticism of that is that it doesn't always pick up the keywords properly. And then also too with like, shield bidding and sales that aren't finalized. Does it or don't it count? That's a little bit unclear. I think most people say it doesn't count it, but you can never be too sure, with eBay. Like, let's be honest. Like,
yeah.
Maybe this is your next project to like put on your list.
Well,
and you said you're an engineer, right? A software engineer.
A programmer. So,
so this is like your cup of tea right here.
It is. Yeah. So all the stuff on the Slabd site, I pretty much did myself.
Yeah. It's a beautiful website, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of back end stuff, a lot of automation. So I do all of that and manage all of that.
Yeah.
And every time I think of something new, I work on it.
Yeah.
But doing something like a project like this is pretty huge.
Yeah, that's like a full-time gig, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. I really would love there to be this. I really would love for something like Discogs, but a card version of it. And I think at the bottom of the Discogs site, actually, they've got I saw it the other day. They've got like sister sites, and I think there's one for skateboards and some other versions of it. So maybe it could be a thing.
I suppose the basketball card equivalent of that would be ComC.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because that's a similar type database to Discogs, like in terms of detailing and different variants and the way you can filter down cards. I think there's some sort of similarities there.
Yeah, I haven't actually been. I don't think I've been onto the ComC site, but I see them all over eBay.
So I love ComC. The problem with ComC is like how much money you will spend on there. It's a pit.
Yeah.
If you don't need ComC in your life, avoid it.
Yeah. I've bought some cards from ComC via eBay, but not ComC directly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. What did you think about the recent release from Fanatics and Gary V?
Is that V Friends?
Yeah.
I don't
have an opinion.
I follow Gary V. I honestly didn't think his card thing would work.
Yeah.
I didn't think people would be that interested in it because it looked so not amateur. And I think, well, who am I? Like, Gary V knows what he's doing. Like, I'm an idiot. Like, he knows exactly what he's doing. And I was like, this looks so primary. Like, it looks so primary school to me. It just didn't appeal. Like the style just didn't appeal to me.
Okay.
I was like, oh, it's okay. It's not. And he was asking people to send him Ethereum. Like, send me 2 Ether. I think that's how it started in the beginning. I was like, oh, I don't know, this sounds scammy, but it wasn't.
Like a crowdfunded type deal? Is that what you mean?
We're talking about the same thing. He was dropping the V Friends thing. Was that early this year or late last year?
So I understand he has NFTs for it, and then just maybe 3 weeks ago, they released like a flawless style product.
Yeah,
and it was
it was the actual card.
The actual cards, and it comes in like a flawless type briefcase, and then it was the first release on the Fanatics website where they did the true silent Dutch auction.
Yeah.
So they ended up selling for $2,000 USD, and now they've been flipped anywhere between sort of like 8 and 12. There's a little bit of the critics will say, well, how many of these sales are real or not? And it's just sort of come out this week that the guys from Backyard Breaks bought 40 cases of it.
So I know Backyard Breaks.
They were more famous recently for that card that they said they were giving it away in a pack, and then
they decided not to.
Yeah, and then they did all those shenanigans of like, oh, we got someone on the phone that we're giving it away to, and it was like it was their mate, and then. And they said, "Oh, we're donating it to charity," and then they really didn't. Oh, it was just like total like clown show.
Yeah.
So those guys are going to be breaking like 40 cases of it, and then
oh wow.
So then recently, like this week, this again came from the Cardboard Nonsense website. They basically went through like all the sold listings on eBay, and then they believe, more than 50% have been shilled. So,
okay. Maybe I am right about it.
I mean, look, I think I've been talking to people about this privately, people who are in that space, because I'm almost 100% NBA. Like, I don't like AFL. I don't like NHL. I don't like NFL. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have nothing.
Yeah.
I have no time for anything that's like not round ball. So I've been trying to talk to people who are in this space. And actually, someone sent me an article that was, basically just trying to explain it. And so I think now that I've read that, I have a bit more of an appreciation for it. And I'd probably also say too, what you said before about it's Gary V, like, Gary knows what he's doing. I think there's a lot of truth to that. So probably, 5 years down the track, I think this stuff is going to be super collectible. But
Okay.
I
I'm
don't think
interested.
these current prices are going to hold. Like, they've been selling for $1,000 for a base card. Like, I think that's going to come back down to earth. I mean, I suppose
Yeah.
the NBA equivalent of that, though, is like, you remember a couple of years back, LaMelo Ball base cards were selling for $200 US.
Yeah.
And like Adam and I sort of have this running joke now of like, if you can sell one for $10, like, you've just hit a home run. Like, that's,
Yeah.
that's insane. So, maybe it's the same deal where they'll come back down to $50 a card, or, $20 a card, something like that. And
Hype has a lot to do with hype and fear of missing out. They're the two ingredients to card prices sometimes, especially when they're released.
And do you believe that Gary Vee is like the master of creating hype and FOMO?
Yeah, he's so positive that you you buy into everything that he says. And he says a lot of great things, but ultimately he's a salesman and he's really, really good at it.
He is so
Like
good.
he's the best in the world.
Yeah. It's so funny because,
Um,
again, someone else I was talking to about this week said hype and FOMO in the same sentence. So the fact that you have just said the same
oh,
thing,
really?
yeah, that's super
Yeah.
interesting to me. So, like, maybe
Well,
that's
you can
his.
tell. Well, you can tell. Well, I can anyway, because again, like I see this stuff all the time. I see. I don't like. I said to you, I don't watch basketball. I don't really collect, any new school basketball at
No,
all.
and I'm actually really
Um,
glad that you don't, because I think it gives the show just a little bit of a different perspective. Like, sometimes I think I'm too NBA centric for my own good. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, yeah, it's
yeah.
actually good to talk to someone who doesn't even know what basketball is. Like, it's
I
it's
do know.
nice. Sorry,
I'm
that
not
was
that naive.
insulting.
I do
Sorry,
know what basketball is. No, that's
that
all
was
right.
mean. You know what I meant? Like,
I
yeah,
know what you mean.
yeah, yeah.
But the things that I know about basketball is just from talking to people who come in.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't know about this LeBron James
Triple
love
logo, man.
the dunk,
The
the
Kobe tribute
not the Kobe tribute dunk, the dunk that he did the other day that people were talking about.
on
We
Kevin
dunked
Love.
on Love.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know about that. I
yeah,
would have not known about it unless someone came in and brought in their LeBron card to get
yeah,
graded, and we're talking about it. That's as much basketball stuff as I know is just from conversation.
yeah.
I don't know where I was going with this because I've gone off on a tangent.
That's okay. Tangents
What
are
were we
always
talking
good.
to? What were we talking about before?
We're talking about Gary
Just
Vee and how he's a hype
we're talking about
machine
Gary
and he creates FOMO. Yeah.
and how he creates. Yeah, so I can think back to maybe a year or two ago. I think maybe 2 years when every man and his dog was bringing in Zion. It's the same. It's like the same thing with LaMelo, possibly. I don't know, but there was just a lot of hype. There was a lot of hype around him,
Yeah.
and we would get so many Zion cards. Everyone would just bring him in.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of him before until
You saw
that's
35 kilograms on your desk of Zion. Yeah.
And I was like, who's this bloke?
Yeah. What's the current trend at the moment coming through your store?
It's actually changed. So especially having SGC, you get different cards than you would with PSA,
Yeah,
and
talk to me. Yeah.
that's just because of the price.
Yeah.
And if you have a look, if you jump onto our Instagram and you go back a year, you'll see different pictures. It's gone from seeing a lot of basketball, which you still see a lot of basketball,
Yeah.
but now you see soccer, and now you see F1, and now you see Marvel, and you
F1 is
see
cooking at the moment, isn't it? It
Yeah.
is so that's so hot at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how
We've
much
had
Lewis Hamilton is like coming over your desk?
so the only one that I've got is with this fella in Melbourne at the moment who wants to get it done.
Is this the guy
Um,
wants to hand deliver it?
yeah, this is the one that I was talking to him just before we
Yeah.
started talking. So that's fresh.
Yeah.
The other one that we get is UFC.
Yeah.
That a lot of that ends up in SGC slabs. And then I said Marvel, and for a while football, but that it just doesn't seem to Aussie rules. I mean,
Yeah.
hasn't really. I don't know. Football people. I'm a football guy. I collect footy cards. That's one of the sports that I actually do.
Most of that would go to CGA, wouldn't it? Like they're super
A lot,
established in that
yeah.
space. Yeah.
A lot of it does go to CGA,
Yeah.
and in the early days, we were sending to PSA because it was $30 to send cards there. So we were sending AFL cards then, trying to get that, get the momentum going for that.
I have never seen an AFL card in a PSA slab.
Well, I'll have to send. Well, we just sold Buddy Franklin's draft pick signature this year. I'm pretty sure it was this year. I've got the post on Instagram.
Yeah.
And the guy that wanted to buy it, it was my brother's card. My brother didn't want to sell it.
Yeah.
It's graded a 9.
Wow.
They ended up agreeing on $1 a goal for when he hits 1,000, and it sold for $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then there was that Dustin Martin card that was graded by BGS. I think that was this year,
okay.
and that sold on eBay for I can't remember. I want to say 4,000, but I think that's too high. That was his draft card.
Yeah. And I think
and auto as well, on card auto.
I think a bit like this Gary Vee stuff, like this to me all just seems like sort of out of this world for me. Like I know there's a serious space there for, footy cards and collecting all that stuff, but when I see like 4K, I think you could get like a really nice LeBron, or you could get a really nice jar, or something like that. So I think I really struggle in that space, but I know that like it's real, like that stuff.
Yeah.
The after sale it's the same flip as NBA essentially.
Yeah, yeah. And football is the same as Bath. Like there's a lot of hype during the season with a player.
Yeah.
And especially when it's same as basketball, I feel.
Yeah.
The
prospecting and then buying up young rookies and
yeah. The only thing I think the footy players kind of get forgotten about quicker
Interesting.
than the NBA ones.
Yeah.
They don't kind of hold their value as long as an NBA player would. I think.
Is that because they have shorter careers? Like it's a pretty rough game, footy, isn't it? Like what do they play for? 3-4 years, something like that? Is that the average?
Oh, they can go longer.
Okay.
Yeah. You can go up to 33, 34. You're kind of pushing it.
Yeah, because
I reckon by the early 30s, you're on your last years.
Yeah,
in footy.
The average NBA career when I was going was 3 years. It's now closer to 4.
Right. Well, how long is 4 years?
So, but you have to remember for every LeBron, there's a dude that plays 20 games.
Yeah.
Or there's a guy that plays, just 1 year. So, yeah, actually, the average guy in the NBA really doesn't last that long. So I think, look, I love prospecting. So for me, that's a really sort of exciting part of it. But also, too, it can also break your heart because then, the next thing they're playing the G League or they're in China and, it's like, that's it. They're done.
Yeah. Oh, the other card that's coming through that you've just triggered a memory.
Hit me.
Is Giddy. I think Josh Giddy.
Oh, yeah.
He's very popular.
Yeah.
And I reckon we've got about a dozen going off to PSA at the moment. So he seems to be pretty hot. And I learnt that he played for the 36ers. And I only learnt that very recently. Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, I think, what's kind of funny about Giddy is that I've heard him speak about, the reasons why he stayed in Australia. And I think it's very valid what he said. But it's also almost how ironic that if he had gone overseas, he'd probably been drafted like significantly higher.
Right.
Because the way that he plays and the way that he handles himself, he has a very much like a professional game. Like he's made to play in the NBA. So I wonder if that would have shown out actually a lot quicker than what it did in the NBL, because the NBL is a very slow game. It's not a particularly open or athletic game. And I wonder actually in some ways, I don't disagree with his strategy of what he did, because obviously it was like very successful. But I wonder though too, like how would this have played out if he did, go overseas? I think like where could he have gone in the drafts? Could he have gone, second or he's a very interesting prospect. And I think probably where I sit on him is I think it's really hard to buy Giddy in Australia. I think you're better off buying him in the States because.
What do you mean buying him in Australia?
So I think in Australia you're almost paying like an Australian tax because
okay.
he's a really, really good prospect. He's getting a lot of like opportunity in OKC. So there's all that hype around it. And then when you come back to Australia, there's also the factor that he's an Australian boy that like sort of adds on like another, 10 or 20%. Whereas when you're buying him in the States, they don't have that same sort of emotional attachment. So you're probably you're going to get him much cheaper overseas than what you get him in Australia.
Then we get here, yeah. And maybe that's why I am seeing more of him, is because there is the attachment to Australia.
I think his collection value in Australia is going to be huge. And I think in some ways he's like, you can't go wrong buying this guy, because even if he tanks badly, like there's still going to be that really hardcore group of people who are going to like collect him because he's an Australian kid or he's an Adelaide kid, or, for whatever like emotional attachment people can sort of put to it, like that is going to be there. So, and again, like PYTs overseas of OKC, they're high, but to be honest, I think you're paying more for them in Australia. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Sort of.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. I think like Joe Ingles is the same. Like no one cares about Joe Ingles overseas, but people will pay. Dellavedova's the same. It's just the same.
Yeah.
We've actually ticked over an hour, man. So.
Oh, have we?
Yeah. So did you want to ask me any questions, or is there anything that you wanted to talk about before we head off, or is there anything you want to promote? Because you've given your time to me very, very freely and openly. So the least I could do is let you, promote or discuss something.
Yeah. So the core of our business is grading.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in grading or want to find out any more about it, you can just hit us up really easily. Email, Insta, Facebook, just Google Slabd, and all various forms of contact are there. And we usually answer within, pretty quick.
Yeah.
So if you need help getting your card graded, we can do that. And that's one of the main things that we do.
Yeah.
Other things that I should have written some notes, but other things that, like I said earlier on, do consignment.
Yeah.
That's a secondary thing that we do. We've got an online store. So if you want to consign cards with us, we can do that.
Yeah.
They'll get listed on our store.
Yeah.
We've now got an eBay store as well. And we also, for higher end stuff, we will get them onto my slabs for you as well. Yeah. So they're the main things that we're doing at the moment.
Can you quickly run through my slabs for people? Because I don't think that's probably as well known as you've just alluded to then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, I like my slabs. It's a very simple site. It's very easy to get your card up on there, but all it is, for anyone listening who doesn't know what it is, it is a site where you can sell your slabs.
Yeah.
It's an American site.
Yeah.
So all the values on there are in US dollars.
Yeah.
And all the values on there include shipping within America. So if you're in Australia or another country and you want to list on there, you have to remember to factor in shipping into your price on my slabs.
Yeah.
The only payment method is PayPal, so you have to have that. They've also got comics on there as well. So if you're into graded comics, Slabd comics, they're on there. But you're not. My Slabs is just the platform. It's much like eBay, with lower fees, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think they've just added raw cards. I haven't explored too much into that yet.
Yeah.
But the cards that we sell for people are Slabd cards.
Yeah.
All graded cards.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So it's basically a marketplace for slabs. That's what my slabs is.
No, thanks for the explanation. I've segued you again.
Yeah.
You can keep going about your other services you provide.
The other service is appraisals.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if this was on the podcast or before, but we do appraisals. So if you need something for your insurance, this probably answers the question that you wanted before.
Yeah, definitely.
If you need to,
So you do provide this service?
yeah, I did it Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I think I went off on a tangent when we were
Yeah, I
talking
don't think
about
we
it.
actually covered this because I thought from what you were saying on off air, this was not something that you did. I must have misunderstood.
No, so it is something that we do,
Yeah.
and it started because I was doing the service for free for insurance companies,
Yeah.
and then I got a request to do 37 cards
Yeah.
to appraise them.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not doing this for free.
Yeah.
So then I put something together, and like I said, very often we have people coming in. It's like, what's the value of my card? Which category does it go in? And I guess that's why insurance companies ask us, like, what is the value of this card? And because we're in the business of looking at card values,
every single
we tell
day.
them every single day they accept the value. So we can actually provide you with an appraisal letter. If you give me your card or your Slabd card, we can research the value of it, research what they've sold for, research what they're selling for, and provide you with a letter of appraisal that you can give to your insurance company and say, this is my card, this is the letter of appraisal, and it's worth $950.
Yeah. And you don't have to answer either of these questions. What do you charge for that service?
$39.
Yeah. And how many have you appraised?
Right now?
Yeah.
Not including the insurance companies.
Yeah, you have to include. No, definitely freebies count. Definitely. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. You've appraised these cards, man. Whether you've been paid for it or not, you've done it.
Okay.
So ballpark.
Not many.
Yeah.
Less than 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So not many, because, like I said, it wasn't an advertised service.
Yeah.
And I've really only put it on the website. When did you find us? About 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
No, probably a bit longer than that.
Yeah. So whenever you Googled that is when I added that to the website.
Do you know? I think it's been 2 months, man.
2 months.
Yeah. This year has flown.
Really?
This year has flown. It's nearly April.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that long.
That's fine. I'm not saying that in a critical way either. It's just like this year.
No. So I had just put that up. So whenever you Googled that is when
we must have. Interesting.
When we put it up.
Yeah.
So this week I just did a cricket bat for a client who came in, and she had a framed Donald Bradman cricket bat that was signed by him.
Wow.
So she needed something for her insurance.
Yeah.
And so we looked at that, researched that, look at auction sales, look at framing costs, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Combined it all, gave her the letter, and that's it. So yeah, we can do that, and we are doing that.
Yeah, it's almost uninsurable, something like that, though, right? Like, I mean,
well, not really, because I couldn't find the exact one for sale, but I could find other bats that he had signed.
Yeah.
And I had found like private auction houses that had sold the bat, and you can see listings on eBay and what they've sold for. And then there's, like I said, it's very easy to find out how much it would cost to frame something like that as well. So if you had to replace it,
it's not like a silver Zion where there's 40,000 of them. You know what I mean? Like I just feel as though
it wasn't a game used bat. It was just a bat that he'd signed like 250 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know what you mean.
Yeah, it just seems like a really great piece of memorabilia. Like,
yeah. So I did that this week. But if you have a high-end card that you want appraised and you need something for your insurance company to say that, it's not just me saying it, then we can do that for you.
Yeah, I think you've really stumbled onto something that's like a need in the marketplace.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't really know that it was a thing. I just knew that I shouldn't be doing 37 appraisals for free.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Yes. I think, that's pretty much it. And if you're in Adelaide, and you're listening and you want to come and check us out, we're on Weymouth Street.
Great.
And we're there every day, 10 till 3, not on weekends at the moment because the city's kind of dead, but it's coming back to life.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be good. Just rock on by.
My biggest complaint about Adelaide is I was there on the weekend and I could not get a cup of coffee in the morning. You have no idea.
You know what?
I was devastated.
So, where were you? Where were
we were
you?
in the CBDs and I literally couldn't get a cup of coffee.
Yeah. So where we are, we've in our building, we've got Slabd, and my brother also has Mr. Combs, and they're joined. It's a barber shop. It's joined together.
Cool.
And there's also coffee there as well, so you can grab a coffee.
Yeah.
But because the city is so quiet, the coffee at the moment, I reckon, probably shuts at like 10:30 because there's
10:30 p.m. or a.m.
a.m. Because the street that we're on have office buildings, and most people are only just starting to come back into the office.
Yeah.
So I think over the next couple of months, it's going to change because I have noticed over the week or two that there are more people coming back into the city.
Melbourne's coming back too. It's the last couple of weekends has been actually really nice. That you can actually see people coming back, and restaurants are full again, and it's great.
Yeah. So that I feel good that I think that it's going to change.
Yeah.
So if you're in Adelaide and if you were here, we probably could have done this in person, but you're not working obviously on the weekend.
I'm in Melbourne, so I will come to Adelaide at once. I'd love to come.
Oh no, I thought you said that you were here on the weekend. I must have misunderstood.
No, I completely misrepresented that. I was in Adelaide for a weekend.
Oh, for a weekend.
And my biggest complaint about Adelaide was my inability to get a coffee. I was absolutely devastated.
Wait, how long ago was that?
Like a pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic? Yeah. I'm not buying this story.
I was devastated. Melbourne's the opposite, you know what I mean? It's just like coffee shops every second corner.
Everywhere, yeah.
It was really.
Oh, yeah, okay. I can see that. Yeah, there's not as many, definitely.
I was distraught.
Well, if you come here again, I'll take you out for a coffee. You can come to Slabd and we'll get
You're on. Yeah, I'll take you up on that offer.
It's easy. Yeah. And we'll go see some band, whatever's kicking around at the time.
That sounds good.
Yeah. I reckon we should do it.
Great. Alrighty, man. I think we should tie this bad boy off.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time.
Anytime.
Yeah, I'm very, very grateful for it. And good luck with your business venture. I think you've got a great thing going, and I hope it picks up over the next sort of 6 to 12 months, and PSA reopens and you're back to 35 keys again,
Yeah, I hope so. I think, I feel good about it. I think it will. It would, we just have to ride out this lull.
Yeah.
I think we'll come back.
Thanks
so much for having me.
Pleasure. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great day. Cheers. Bye-bye.